This is Outbreak News This Week, brought to you by the Global Dispatch Incorporated. Outbreak News This Week is your source for all the news about worms and germs. And now, your host, microbiologist and editor of OutbreakNewsToday.com. Here's Robert Harriman.
Well, good evening, Tampa Bay, and everybody that's listening online streaming. My name is Robert, and I appreciate you listening tonight. Well, Stevens-Johnson syndrome. It's a rare and a serious disorder of the skin and mucous membranes. The NIH says that Stevens-Johnson syndrome, or I'll call it SJS, affects 1 to 2 people per million each year. It's usually a reaction to a medication or an infection. Stevens-Johnson syndrome is a medical emergency that usually requires hospitalization. Treatment focuses on eliminating the underlying cause, controlling the symptoms, and minimizing the complications. Recovery after Stevens-Johnson syndrome, or SJS, can take weeks to months, depending on the severity of your condition. If it was caused by a medication, you'll need to permanently avoid that drug and others closely related to it. So what kind of symptoms do you see with SJS? Facial swelling, tongue swelling, hives, skin pain, a red or purple skin rash that spreads within hours to days, blisters on your skin and the mucous membranes of your mouth, nose, eyes, and genitals, shedding of your skin. Now, SJS requires immediate medical attention, and if you experience any of these kind of symptoms that I just mentioned, seek emergency medical care. SJS is rare and unpredictable. Your doctor may not be able to identify its exact cause, but it's usually triggered by a medication or an infection. What kind of drugs are typically linked to SJS? They include anti-gout medications, common pain relievers like Tylenol, ibuprofen, Aleve, antibiotics such as penicillin, anticonvulsants, antipsychotics, drugs that are used to treat seizures or mental illness. And as I said, infections can also trigger Stevens-Johnson syndrome. Herpes, pneumonia, HIV, and hepatitis are a few examples. You're also at increased risk for SJS if you have a weakened immune system, if it's in your family history, and if you're Chinese, Southeast Asian, or Indian, you may be carrying a particular gene that makes you more susceptible to SJS. What are some of the complications? Well, clearly, since it's affecting the skin, skin infections and cellulitis, and some can become very serious and life-threatening. Sepsis or blood infections. And of course, this is always very serious, and it can be a life-threatening condition that can cause shock and organ failure. It can cause inflammation of your eyes, from very mild infection or mild conditions like, dry eyes to more severe ones where there's tissue damage and scarring that may result in blindness. It can damage the internal organs. While this is unusual, it may cause inflammation of the lungs, heart, kidneys, or liver. And of course, permanent skin damage. When your skin grows back following Stevens-Johnson syndrome, it may have abnormal bumps and coloring. You may have scars. Your hair may fall out. Your fingernails and toenails may not grow normally again. Now, about a year ago, my daughter's friend sent me this photograph of a finger that was shedding skin and said that it was her aunt who was diagnosed with Stevens-Johnson syndrome. Joining me now is Donna Rushing. Donna is kind enough to come on the show tonight to share her story about her battle with Stevens-Johnson syndrome. Hi, Donna. Thank you for taking the time to talk to me this evening.
You're welcome. How are you?
I'm very good, thank you. And I'm very thrilled that you were more than willing to share your story with this horrible condition. So let's start out. This your niece Landy sent me the photograph about a year ago, and so you were diagnosed about a year ago with SJS. So how did it start for you?
Well, I had like a flat red rash on my face and my upper body. Plus, I was running like 102 fever for it was almost a week. And then also my finger on my left hand and my hand, the top of my hand had like a raised rash, and it just itched and itched. And that's how it started. And then I went to the doctor. It kept getting worse, and it went to the mouth. And
sure. And how quickly did the symptoms get worse?
I say within a week and a half, it seemed like it was pretty bad.
And what were the worst symptoms that you experienced?
My finger looked like a burn almost, and because it had really gotten bad, and my mouth was real bad. It was like raw inside. It was bleeding. There had been blisters, and my tongue was real swollen and white. Then I ended up with a rash like on my face, like bumps, like almost chicken pox on my face and on my arm. And they itched, but like I said, the finger was real bad and my mouth was real bad.
Right. I'm familiar with the finger because I got the picture.
Yes.
And so when you first saw your doctor, what did they tell you?
Well, when I first went, I had the rash and I had been running a fever for a few days, and I went in saying, I'm running a fever, I don't know. And she said, well, it's the antibiotic that I was on, because I was taking an antibiotic for an infection in my leg.
Okay.
And she said, stop taking it, and and then I ended up having to go back 2 days later, because then my mouth had all the blisters and the tongue was white and it was just getting worse. And that's when she said, you have Stevens-Johnson syndrome.
Okay, so they pinpointed the cause as being antibiotics.
Yes.
Yeah. Now, have you ever heard of Stevens-Johnson's syndrome before?
No, I never heard of it until she told me I had it, and then I came home and looked it up.
Yeah, sure. Now, how did they treat you?
She gave me some prednisone, and also because my mouth was real bad and swollen, and I couldn't eat or drink, so she gave me lidocaine, I think, that you have to put in your mouth and swish it to numb it, just so I could drink through a straw. I had to take like Ensure, and I know you have to keep drinking a lot, and I tried with the water. But like I said, it was very painful to swallow, because it had gone, I think, in my throat also.
Mm-hmm. Now, the doctor probably told you that you can never take that antibiotic again, right?
Right.
Yeah.
And they told me that, and also she told me to make sure that I got a alert necklace, is what I have now, with Stevens-Johnson syndrome on it and what it was that I was taking, so they're aware of it.
Right. Now, did you have any complications? Did you get any infections or anything like that?
No, I didn't get any infections.
Okay. Well, that's good, because that is a common thing, especially when your skin is peeling off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just, I was in so much pain, and I just felt real bad and weak. So I was home. I stayed home about 2.5 months to make sure, because I know that they say you can catch things easy, and I didn't need anything else.
Very good. So it's been a year now. How's your recovery going?
It's going pretty good. My taste buds are not all back tasting right. Sweet things, or things like with tomato sauce and stuff and milk, that just does not taste good to me. When I did have it, I ended up losing like 60 pounds because... 60?
Yes. Wow.
Because it was so bad in my mouth.
Sure.
I mean, it even got where it was bleeding in the mouth.
Yeah.
So I couldn't eat or drink any. Like I said, drinking water was very bad and painful, but I knew I had to do it.
Are you still seeing a doctor for this?
No.
No. So basically, are you expected to get any better, or is this it?
I will. I think that my taste buds, I mean, they're better now because, like, I can eat the salty things and they taste fine. But I think that it's just maybe it'll take time. I don't know if it's ruined them all the way.
Yeah.
But I can feel with my tongue that I do have scars. You know, I can feel things in my mouth where maybe there were scars.
Right. Well, clearly this was a horrible and probably a frightening experience for you.
Yes, it was.
Yeah. Well, okay. Well, thank you, Donna, for sharing your story. God bless you in your continued recovery. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.